All right, we're back again for another one to discuss the Book of Boba Fett. We're on episode 2, and it's the tribes of Tatooine. And I'm here with Ryan. What's going on, man?
Oh, not much. Tribes of Tatooine. God, I did
Oh,
it. I did a actually on you. God, I truly am a Star Wars nerd.
Tat- that'll work. Tatooine. Why I say Tatooine?
Something like that. I
Why I
mean,
say Tatooine
y-
for? I'm tripping.
this is the one of those things where it's like if you read too many sci-fi fantasy books and you like they have all those weird fucking names in there, and you're like, I think it maybe sounds like that. And then you talk to other people who read the same thing, and you're like, what is wrong with you? That is, you're pronouncing saying letters that are not even in there. So
That's what
yeah,
happened to me because I'm thinking like it's Tatooine. So I'm thinking like where I see the one at? Where's that? It's an I in there.
dude, I was saying the name of Coruscant. I think that's how it's pronounced. God, I might even be doing it wrong. Like I was saying it like Coruscant or something. I don't know. And that's like only the capital planet of the galaxy, and I said it wrong for fucking decades. But
As long as we understand the lore and the placement of the people and the
what?
story going along, that's more than most. So we got to
Right.
forgive ourselves with the little technicalities. All right, so we're on episode 2. What was your thoughts on this episode?
Well, I was ironically kind of kicking myself because I made I think some very conservative speculations at the end last time, and I was like kicking myself as like, dude, the Huts are gonna show up. Like, there's no way. Like one of those things you're like, oh, of course the Huts are gonna fucking show up, and not just like random Huts,
Okay.
but Huts from Jabba's family, because it's a crime family. And even outside of crime family, like even in a feudal sense, because they are throwing around the term like daimyo, like if someone in your family gets taken out, you're gonna have uncles, aunts, nephews, second cousins be like, no, you don't get to take that. That's still ours. That's still
Right.
ours. We're keeping it in the family. So
Right.
I should have seen that one coming.
No, it's no problem. But it's funny that I did think that because it was Boba Fett that I was kind of wondering, was that going to pull in more of the folks that we're familiar with in a way? We'll see. So what do you think of the start of this one where, they pretty much got the assassin from the last episode and they were, bringing him back to Boba Fett to be kind of debriefed and to find out, what was his intentions.
I was kind of hoping, like, this is a weird thing, that he was actually gonna keep his mouth shut, and it wasn't going to be easy. But
Yeah,
it's like, oh no, we're just gonna keep threatening you, and you broke. And it's like,
right. You're going to the pit. You're going to the pit. And he's like, oh, what?
but they
And
did it in a clever way. They did it
yeah,
in a clever way. And the second he like starts dropping down, I'm like, Rancor's not there. Like the Rancor died. Like so, but it was funny that they're like, yeah, the monster's gonna eat you. And he's like, no, okay, I'll give up. I'll I'll spill my guts. And then all it's down there is a fucking mouse.
and it's funny too with this show. It's like you think it's going somewhere kind of serious and more down a certain kind of lane, and then here come the jokes. It always kind of surprises me, even though I know how it kind of goes, because sometimes it gets really kind of I'm thinking I'm watching something more like on Netflix or something like the show like Daredevil, or not that heavy, but something like that. And
Right.
then all of a sudden you get this joke or just some left field, resolve, which isn't
I
bad because that's Star Wars, but it's very
well,
maybe not as nuanced as I thought. Not that it's not working, but it
mhm,
does surprise me sometimes, like the whole thing with the pit being empty. And then
yeah.
and then he's like hardcore the whole time. He's getting the big fight on the last episode and then getting kind of taken in to be held accountable and all that stuff. And I'm not speaking. He even got a knife to his neck and he's still not speaking. So it's like we're gonna put him in the pit. And then all of a sudden he's like cowarding. It kind of threw me off a little bit.
Yeah, and then the fact that there's nothing in the pit. Like,
I thought that
I
was
mean,
cool. Yeah.
that was clever, and I'm reminded of complaints about Marvel movies, which is wind up to a serious moment, undercut it with a joke, right? Which does happen a lot in Marvel movies. Granted, this is once so far.
Yeah.
I'm not remembering other bits where it's like, oh, super tension, joke. So I don't
Yeah.
think that's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
But I I also was kind of like, can we not just have torture work every time? Because like, as someone who also, again, runs role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons, it's annoying how often like
Yeah.
players and the audience obviously suspects, well, you just do the right things, clearly they're going to tell you everything. It's like, that's not really how that works most of the time, not in
Right.
real life.
Right.
I think the other interesting sort of spin they did was the interaction with the mayor.
Yes.
Because up to getting the audience with the mayor and sort of his sort of reversal a little bit, it was like, mayor's going to be an asshole. He's blowing you off. He's dismissing you. Da da da. My take is the mayor is more shrewd than Boba Fett. I feel like a lot of the other characters in the town for, the mob story are a bit more shrewd than Boba Fett.
Yeah. Yeah.
The casino owner knows ahead of time what's going on.
Yes.
The mayor is also like, okay, so you brought me this guy. Okay, so that means this is going on. We're going to kill him, by the way. Let's not have a fight. By the way, here's a piece of advice. Like, he's been in the game. Like, he knows how it goes. And the fact that he's like, you sort of just took him at his word. Like, you believed what he told you. Like, that's cute. Also, he's not allowed to, like, live on this, like, operate on this planet at all. So we're just going to kill him.
Yeah. I can't tell if Boba Fett is playing naive or he's really is naive to the situation. It's hard to tell because really, even since the first episode, he's just been kind of getting led along into situations. Every time he's getting led somewhere, it's almost an ambush every time. Because even though the mayor was giving him vital information in a way to kind of get him to get more information, did he lead him into that situation knowing that the Hutts were on their way over there? That was going to be a problem, So it just seemed like every time he gets a little help or a little advice, he's in the middle of something.
Yeah, and it's difficult how much of that is him being naive, him being played, or just plot contrivance by the authors, because it's like, well, we need to introduce this, and let's do it in a dramatic way. So like, there's theoretically a version of this, especially since we, have the still incomplete flashback where Fennec and Boba Fett are going to have a planning session that is before the current set, like where, the start of the episode where he's in Jabba's palace already and they're laying out their game plan. Right. And so maybe all of this sort of, because there is a possibility Boba Fett is letting people tell them who they are. Right. So instead of just trying to dominate outright, you give people the opportunity to backstab you. Right. To try to play you, to see what they do. I mean, that would be very interesting if that's what the ploy was, as opposed to him just being written a little naive. It's difficult because I think there's also an element where, the writers want to be able to tell things to the audience. And so what's happening a lot of times is you're getting these other characters, the mayor, the casino owner, who are giving him insights or trying to, and giving him information. Oh, you didn't know. Oh, right. And they're finding that way to sort of deliver that information. But I don't know. There's a level of like, if they were playing their cards close, they wouldn't be telling them shit.
Right. So it's so early on, it's kind of hard to tell the intentions. And sometimes that's almost important to know as well. So you know what you're dealing with, because you can't tell. Yeah, like you said, it could be as simple as, the writers trying to, serve a purpose with the characters, or it could be the characters this or that way, which is hard to tell at this point. But it's interesting. But I will say all those characters, even though they're, kind of given more information and leading the character along, his journey or whatnot, I do really appreciate the nuances of the characters, and not such obvious ways for everybody. You get to kind of learn as you go, and you have an idea of what something's going to be, and it kind of changes up. Like you said, like the mayor, for example, even that assassin in a way is kind of like, huh? Or even with that, and even though you knew more was going on with her, the bar owner, you kind of just know that kind of character. Part of me is almost like, and I can't tell if she's just being slick or not, because even when Boba Fett went back to her and said, hey, you knew what was going on, because look, I could tell that you're sweating. And instead of agreeing to what he was saying, she was more or less like, oh, you didn't hear, like the Hutts are coming. It was more almost like that. So you can tell if she was just being quick on her toes, or she's really just trying to stay out of it and trying to, she's playing it well.
Yes, she's the casino / bar / brothel owner that like doesn't play on strength,
right?
Plays on flattery and appeasement, which means she's caught between Boba Fett, who I'm guessing she thought was already handled, and like, okay, that poor guy, he's dead, whatever. The Hutts are back in town. I gotta, get on board with them. So when he comes walking back in, it's like, oh shit, you're still alive. Okay, panic on the inside. Don't show it. Oh, I'm sweating. Crap.
Right.
Yeah, I liked those characterizations. So I just had a funny thought for, we're questioning the motives of these people, and we're questioning, is Boba Fett naive versus not, especially with all this flashback stuff.
Right.
There's a great science fiction series by Roger Zelazny. The whole thing, it's like 10 books. It's like the Chronicles of Amber.
Okay.
And so without giving too much away, the main character starts off with amnesia, doesn't know what's going on. Someone's trying to kill him, and zaniness ensues. And it's all sort of family politics. And so the thing is, every time he's running into one of his siblings and he starts to get his memories back, it's like, oh, okay, you're my brother Random, you're so-and-so, you're blah, blah, blah. They're like, no, wait, that's not actually what happened. And so it's this long game of like him trying to actually piece together the correct narrative, because some of them are lying to him, some of them are playing him, some are not telling him everything. And so every time he's like running into a new relative or player in the game, he's having to like rewrite the narrative of like, wait, okay, so was Frank betraying me? Like,
right.
So it could be one of those situations where with the flashbacks, there's going to be recontextualizations of people's actions and narratives. So
yeah, that would be really cool. And it's quite possible. At the top of our conversation, you had mentioned the Hutts, which is interesting to see. I will say that the CG for them was pretty cool. I like the CG for, this show has been pretty good. Like I said, with the different alien races and stuff like that, like the lizard people and stuff.
Yeah,
and
the
even
Trandoshans.
so even though they might just be animating their eyes or something, it's just been really clean looking. I've been really digging the designs.
I did see some people online being like, man, you gotta do Hutts as like full animatronic. Like get the people in the giant suits. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, cooking.
Yeah,
two Hutts, like,
yeah,
like that would be really cool and an achievement and everything else, especially since you got all those people holding the platform up.
Yeah, exactly. Then you really see them acting. Then
we gotta hide a crane in the building behind them to actually hold up the platform. No.
Right.
But yeah, I thought the CGI and everything looked great.
Yeah. But where they didn't use the CGI and they did have a practical outfit was for the introduction of the new Wookiee.
Oh yeah,
that was very interesting.
And I think I caught some snippet where like he's not a new creation.
Oh,
like I'm not familiar with him,
okay.
But he's supposed to be one of the other. This is the weird thing. I didn't read the whole thing. I'm trying to stay out of spoilers and other rabbit holes and stuff. But apparently he's another bounty hunter, which seems weird. Like the thing is, in the popular imagination, bounty hunters are these hard-boiled, well-armored fighter killer machines, and it's like, no, like, I mean, Dog the bounty hunter, like he's just old and big, like. So the idea that these mob bosses keep hiring bounty hunters as if they're better than hired muscle, like I think it's like their equivalent of like trying to say like they hired a samurai, right?
Right.
It's a title that implies more deadliness.
Right. Like it's a specialty that they have.
Right, but really their specialty should be finding people.
Right.
First, that's I think that's a always underwritten part of like really good like bounty hunter stories. So again, I run freaking tabletop games and ran a Star Wars game, and we had a bounty hunter in the group, and it's really hard to integrate that in sometimes to a story with multiple people, because it's just like, all right, we're just gonna throw in a side quest. You good to go find the thing, but you have to have a player that actually has a vague understanding of how to hunt people down.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's just I use my character skill and I find them, and it's like that's fucking boring. Yeah. I would love to see some story with, I don't know, some bounty hunter or something. There's a very handy trick. One of their targets in my game knew people were coming after him. Mm-hmm. So he intentionally went to like 3 different people and basically went, hey, I need my stuff. I'm getting out of town. I'm going to the city to the north. And then he went to the other person and like, hey, I need my stuff. What you owe me. I'm going to the city to the south. And then he went to the third person who was a stormtrooper captain and was like, hey, these assholes just got paid out by the Hutts. You might want to shake them down. Go ahead and shoot them, please. Thank you. Bye. I'm out of here. And then he went somewhere else entirely, and it threw off all my players. It was beautiful.
I love it. That's strategizing right there.
Right.
So I like how you saw the possible encounter that didn't happen, and he just kind of eyed him, and the Hutts are kind of like, we're out of here, and we'll see you next time. Sleep with one eye open, basically. I thought it was kind of cool. Like I said, the little intimidation factor was there. I like the character design was pretty interesting. So it's just like it's going to be more to come with this. So it'll be.
It's also the way they set it up, especially with Fennec's comment of like, we would have to get permission to kill them.
I was going to ask you that. I was really curious. What's up with that comment? Like, why would they have to get permission?
Because so the Hutts, if I'm remembering sort of my research, the Hutts pretty much see themselves as a superior species in its entirety than all the other sort of sentient species in the galaxy. So they even try to present themselves as semi-deified, like they really got that ego matches their body size. And they also don't like it when anyone kills any Hutt anywhere. So it's one of those things of like, no, we are all on Team Hutt. So we might fight between ourselves, between our different clans, between our different families. But if someone goes and like takes out a Hutt without them like being properly ostracized by the rest of Hutt society, then we're going to come down on you like a ton of Hutts.
So how can you be ahead of a crime syndicate, but also an endangered species list? How can you be both? Like, I could destroy you, but don't hit me. We can be tyrants, but don't get us back. don't get me back.
Infighting amongst the huts, that's one thing, but
Oh,
outsiders, no.
very interesting. Yeah, that really made me think. I was like, so what's up with that? And so who exactly would they have to get permission from to
No idea. No.
do an attack on him? I thought it was
Yeah.
interesting, especially
they
since they threatened him.
Yeah, they threatened them, but you kind of have to because it's a bit of a pissing contest. I mean, the other thing that is clever about doing it that way and setting up that we can't kill them outright is, one, you have to find other ways of reducing them.
Mhm.
Just because you can't kill the huts doesn't mean you can't kill the rest of their organization. But that scene is also a nice way of front loading the antagonist, right? They're going to be the primary antagonist. You get to meet them face to face. I mean, this is also a problem in sort of like role-playing games, is like you have to come up with these sort of contrivances to introduce the bad guys but not let the players kill them off immediately. And this is the exact same thing where they're like, we gotta wait. We gotta wait and get permission, because otherwise we would just ace those two right now.
Right. Like a dangerous thing is coming to get the character, and if the car worked, the movie would be over in 5 minutes. So you gotta have a problem with the door working, you gotta have a problem with the whatever, just to keep you there. So that's true. Yeah. Because really, you would think, he's a bounty hunter and a killer. He would just take him out, no problem.
Right.
But
the fact that they just wander around in their palanquin, open air, it's like,
right.
You ever heard of the JFK assassination? It's like, no. Have you ever heard of the rest of our species just annihilating you?
Right.
I mean, probably the only reason there wasn't a ginormous bounty on Leia after she killed Jabba on the pleasure barge, because everyone else fucking died on the barge and no one knows that she did that.
Sure.
It's just boom, the whole thing blew up. The only people that know they even got out were the people that got out. That's it. Yeah. There's maybe a couple people like back at Jabba's palace that didn't go on the trip that are like, hey, where's the boss?
That's true. Good point. So after their encounter, back to the tank. And so we get to another dip into the flashback, and he's back again, and he's with the Tuskens, and he's out there learning the correct way to use his weapon.
His gaffy stick.
And he's kind of working it out. And I love how he's earning his place. And I like how, even though you can tell he's tired and frustrated, and it's almost hard to tell if he want to be there or not, because you can see how he can kind of catching himself with his attitude and kind of, pulling himself back a little bit and being like, okay, I'm doing what you're saying. And then he's really realizing that he's not. And okay, please teach me. So I'm digging the levels of, his feelings that he must be going through during that time. And then also finding humility within it as well. Because even though he's going through that stuff, I think he knows how to take advantage of a good situation to add to him, which I think is pretty neat.
Right. As someone who's done lots of martial arts,
yes,
the whole struggling with an instructor, I thankfully have not had to struggle with instructors that didn't speak fluent English, but struggling with an instructor of like, I'm trying to do the thing, and it not being like, you're teaching me wrong. Just being like, all right, I'm not getting it. Okay, please show me again. Please hit me upside the head. Ironic that I was with one of my instructors on Sunday, and they sort of complain about people not getting it, to the extent where it's like, I'm either going to stop showing it to you, or I'm going to show it to you and you're going to get hurt. It's like, okay, so we're just going to make sure we're keeping up to speed.
Right. Either you're going to get it or you're going to get it.
Yeah, you're going to get it. But yeah, the one thing that I liked with his performance, Tamura Morrison, I looked him up, is because his background, he's Maori, and so there's two bits in this episode. I I think it's one in the training section, and then later, after he's crafted his gaffy stick, he's come back from his vision quest, and he's, you know, invited to the circle of warriors, and they start doing what looks like at first a kata, and then it's like, oh, they're doing a haka, right? They're doing, you know, the equivalent of a Maori sort of war dance, right? Which is an actual thing. And so when I saw him do it the first time with his face, like it wasn't just like I'm angry,
right?
It was the haka, it was the intense eyes, the yelling. I was like, that's fucking cool that they brought that into his character. It made it way more authentic, and I think for those that pick up on the connection, it makes it more clear what they're doing, right? And the theming of like, we're a people of warriors, right? So I thought that was really cool that they sort of bridged his actual cultural background in with his portrayal and with the Tuscans.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. And then George Lucas was kind of known for doing that kind of stuff anyway, because he, you know, the folks and characters he came up with definitely, you know, interpretations of different races and stuff, and then also kind of you know, lean into what we already have as well, which is also always make things more authentic and easier for people to connect to, even if they don't know where it's from. It reads differently than somebody just making something up that's not kind of based on something else that's real.
Yeah. The other fun thing with that, the nice thing is, the first time I heard anyone discussing it was the immediate counter argument that it was wrong, but apparently some people were like, oh man, they're just doing a white savior. And the counter argument is, you fucking morons, the character is Maori. Like, that doesn't work as cleanly as, say, like Dances with Wolves or fucking Avatar, where yes, the character is blatantly white. He is an outsider going to it. So the rest of that might be true, but in the way that I saw this discussion taking place, is they were reading it as, this wasn't him coming in like Lawrence of Arabia, which the train sequence, people were like, that is a huge homage to Lawrence of Arabia.
Right.
It wasn't him coming in to use them to make them better. It was him healing himself in a way, him finding himself. Right. Because the one unspoken thing so far is why the fuck he didn't just leave. Once he's back on his feet, once he's free, right? The start of this episode, he's within the flashback. He's not a prisoner anymore. Yeah. He could just be like, thanks, I'm going to take some water. Peace, I'm out. I'm going to go back to my old life. But he didn't. Right? So there's nothing calling him back. So he's finding a new sense within the tribe.
That's interesting that somebody took it as like the savior kind of thing. Especially, I took it as him almost kind of like sharing, as if, you know, sharing the same way they're sharing with him. Like they're sharing culture and their ways and their form of fighting and stuff like that. And he's like, well, let me contribute as well. I could do this for you. It was more of an exchange than it was, let me show you how to do this kind of thing. No. He saw a situation that he could probably add something to it, just like they added something to his situation to, you know, save him as well. So to me, that's almost like, that's a whole different thing than somebody, you know, learned the martial arts skill for 5 minutes and they're better than the best top person in the class. It's none of that stuff. That's why it reads funny. That's the problem with it. It's not the fact that you're from a different culture and you can't learn some other culture stuff. It's not that at all. It's just like the fact that it comes off unearned a lot of times. Yeah. And it could be because of the movies. It could be because it's shorthand. So, you know, a 5-second montage is, you know, it's a 20 years worth of, you know, learning a skill set, I guess, but it's still a shorthand. And sometimes, like I said, they just the way that goes, you know, it could come off kind of funny. And sometimes it is messy and it is a situation where they're the best thing there. They're better than the teacher already 5 minutes later and stuff. And yeah,
that stuff's always annoying.
That's a different kind of thing. And that's just a disrespect for the situation more so this was a whole different thing to me. I took it as an exchange of ways of doing things.
Yeah, he was bridging, not dominating.
Yes, exactly.
And,
Big difference.
And to not outstripping his instructor, I'm trying to think of the one that taught him how to fight with the gaffy stick, the one that's like almost all in black.
Yes.
The ninja Tusken.
Mm-hmm.
One, I think it's a woman.
Ooh.
Two, you saw through that train sequence that Ninja Tusken is still a huge fucking badass more than you thought. And like, holy crap. Because there's a version of that whole sequence where it is just Boba Fett that is making this decisive key strategic advancements, right? Taking out this guy, taking out that guy. But it was not. It was definitely, thank God for Ninja Tusken. Because they fucked up a shitload of people. Yeah. I think out of the whole sequence, the only thing that annoyed me was the shooters that they had on the train as it's flying through the desert are like, yeah, we're going 100, 200 miles an hour. We're just going to snipe that Tusken and snipe that Tusken and snipe that Tusken. Like, okay, the Bantha, which is a giant elephant, sure, you can hit that broadside, fine. But they're just like, snipe, snipe, snipe. And then somehow when they get close range, they're like, I'm going to miss once in a while. Ugh.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that they would just, go by and just be picking people off in the first place. And then for the only reason to have, for them doing that is because they thought that, or at least that's the answer he said, is that they thought that, the savages basically was going to, attack them or whatnot. And who knows, because they do that kind of stuff. They do kind of, they kind of pillage. So,
well, if you remember in the pod racing scene in episode 1, they're going through the canyons and they're like pew pew trying to take pot shots at them. Now it might also be because it's like, get out of our fucking canyon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, they could have done a version of the shooting at the Tuskens as maybe we hit one and the rest of it's a bunch of suppressing fire as they go through, because that's like, okay, but not like pew pew, we killed 5 of you.
Right.
I don't know. Doesn't have the same impact, but
well, I do from that. Even though that happened, I thought it was very interesting that they were getting kind of taken out like that from the train. It did also show their ritual for burning their dead, and their, just like I said, I love when things are twofold. One, because something happens and then the reaction, and not just that's done, but it's a chance to get more insight in the characters and stuff. And I love how this show's been doing that. So just to show their ceremonies and things like that, from the way they bury their dead to everybody comes together to adorn the person that they're bringing in with their garments and stuff like that. And it was just very sacred, very just beautiful.
Just like the sacred hallucination lizard.
Yes. I
wasn't ready for that.
Me either. That was a trip too.
It was like, oh, is it gonna have to lick it? Is it gonna have to eat it? And like, now it's just gonna climb right up your nose into your head.
Right. So that was a trip. But
the one question out of this is hilarious. How I'm like, okay, sure, I'll buy the brain lizard thing. Cool. I'll just live it in your sinuses, pump it through, psychedelics into your sinuses. The tree. Now I get it. It looked like a very dead tree, and this is the hard thing with Vision Quest. It's like, did he find an actual tree? Or is he somehow tapping into something else, which has been like, that opens up a whole new things about the metaphysics of Star Wars. But like, I don't expect the tree actually like wrapped its arms around him like it did in his sort of nightmare scenario of his all flashbacks and trauma and stuff. But I don't know. But like, did he just actually randomly find a tree?
Hey, he had the branch, so
he had the branch, and that's the thing. It's like deliverable.
Right. And so was the lizard.
I got a branch. I don't know about the rest of the stuff, but I got a branch.
And the lizard did come back out of somewhere and went back into that little case. So the lizard was real too, but the placement of it is questionable.
I just gotta hope they wash the lizard before the next guy. Like,
yeah. But that was really cool. One thing I wanted to ask you too, What do you think of those two characters that they had inside the train depot? They had this guy who looked kind of like well, he had his wardrobe was kind of like Han Solo in a way, and he was there with the lady. Remember when Boba Fett went over there with the, he said, I just need a staff.
Right. They went to the tiny
yeah.
cantina.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he kind of looked like Han Solo.
Yeah, not that he necessarily looked like him, but I thought the way they dressed him, I couldn't tell it was just like just the the wardrobe of folks or whatnot, or if it was supposed to remind us of something, or was it supposed? Do you think it was anything extra to that?
No.
Okay.
I think he was just he was just some bloke at the bar.
Okay.
And he didn't keep his mouth shut.
Okay. That's fair.
At that whole scene where he comes and just fucks up all the bikers.
Yeah.
Well done.
You're funny. But yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, so it seemed like I said, I like that I like that storyline for the flashback. I'm just digging the Tuscans and just learning more about them and seeing, I don't know. It's interesting. Like I said, it's just nice to see characters that, like I never read the books and stuff. So to see these characters kind of fleshed out more so than just seeing them as, background players in a movie, it's pretty cool. I'm really enjoying this journey because as much as I went in for Boba Fett, but it's all these other characters and stuff. I'm really getting a chance to. So when I watch those movies again, it's going to mean something else to me. I'll look at them differently. Like those won't be the savages. Those will be the people. Because also I was going to say too, I thought it was pretty dope. Like you were saying, were they driving through their land? Because Boba Fett made a comment about that. Like, okay, if you want to live, this is our, this is what's up.
You're going to fucking pay them.
You're going to pay them for passing over their territory.
And if anyone,
right.
It's the same thing with the Hutts. He basically said, if anyone comes in here and kills them, I'm coming for you.
Right.
So now it's on you.
Right. Right. So I love that. I thought it was dope. I like I said, so I love that we're getting this,
Yeah. And of course it's going to escalate because someone, even if it's not the fish people, let's just call them the fish people on the train.
Right.
Even if it's not the fish people that come back in numbers and say, fuck you guys. Mm-hmm. Someone else is going to fulfill that role. Like someone else is not going to be happy that route got disrupted, that area is off limits, that a toll needs to be paid. Someone else is going to be like, no, fuck you. We get to do whatever we want here.
Just because somebody said not to, even if it was as simple as that, you won't tell me what to do.
Right.
Might cause war, but you're not going to tell me not to do it.
Yeah. So my kung fu instructor that I saw on Sunday was talking about having to deal with getting introduced to different schools, different groups, and when someone says, oh, so-and-so is good, he's done X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 there's always some motherfucker who has to find out how good, who just takes it as almost a personal insult that someone is considered good, and they have to be that fucking dumbass schoolyard idiot who has to be like, no, I'm top dog. I'm going to find out if you're a top. And that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen in the Dune Sea. Is now Boba Fett and the Tuscans have said, don't fuck with us. And someone's going to be like, oh, I'm not even involved, but you're going to tell me not to fuck with you? I'm going to fuck. Okay. Yeah, that's how that's going to go. And it's probably going to be Bib Fortuna or something like that. And that's probably how it's going to lead to him being the daimyo now. Because if anyone's going to be like, no, you don't get to tell me what to do, it's going to be the daimyo.
Right. All right. So overall, what did you think of this episode?
I thought it was pretty good.
Okay.
I think there was a lot more sort of going on in the first episode, right? There's a little bit more setup in the first episode. The train sequence was pretty well done. It's funny sometimes because I watch this with my wife and I'm like, okay, put the phone down. You're gonna have to pay attention now. I thought it was pretty good. I don't know when. Again, it structurally 2/3 of the way through is when we find out what the twist is through the flashbacks of why Boba Fett is doing what he's doing. Right? We don't have his "I Want" song yet. In this case, it's going to be "Why I'm Doing This Why" song, and it's probably going to have to do something with the Tuskens, because that seems like who he is now. He's part of that tribe. So if he has to basically go back into the world, as it were, to help protect them, I could see that narrative working really well.
Yeah. All right. I enjoyed it as well. I still think it's interesting how they're doing this slower paced show, but they're using the time wisely. I'm getting a lot of background on characters that like I said, I've seen in the backgrounds of movies and stuff, and I'm getting more of a breath of what they're about, which I'm enjoying. I'm liking all the characters, the bad guys and the good guys. I guess they're all bad guys in a way, or levels of badness.
Compromised. They're
right.
all compromised.
That's
morally
right.
compromised.
That's right. So I'm definitely having fun with it. Like I said, I'm enjoying the flashback stuff too, and I think that's cool when the current story and the flashbacks are both in a way very interesting, because sometimes when shows do that, you either like one more than the other. Like, okay, stay in present, don't go back, or stay back, don't go into present. So I think they're doing a great job, at least so far, of making both equally interesting, and also where you're curious enough to kind of see where the through line is going, because you know that one definitely infringes on the other. You just don't know at what level of infringement it's going to be, but you know that this have to be in some kind of way a connected story.
I think the other thing, and this might be related to the "I Want" component, is I want to see Boba Fett in Boba Fett, the mob boss daimyo, get frustrated, because so far he's just too cool. And I don't mean like I'm cool, but he's just not flustered. And I get that's probably a character component, but there needs to be a bit where he's getting too many setbacks. Right? And really, aside from the assassination attempt, he hasn't had like a major setback, because he hasn't lost anything. He's still just in the I'm telling people I'm the daimyo. Oh, I have a challenger. That's about it.
Yeah.
Right? So I want to see him get frustrated in his plans, because I want to see how that character handles it. And if they play it too cool, I think that's gonna rob the narrative. You can't just have him be the cool, level-headed badass. Like, right? At some point, there has to be something that he wants that he is frustrated by or thwarted on, right? Or he loses something. And I don't feel like we've seen that yet. So hopefully that's coming down the road.
I have a prediction. The way he's kind of dealing with everybody, all these different, sects, I have a sneaky suspicion they're gonna pull like a Fast and Furious, like when The Rock's character Hobbs, when he goes to go get Dom and the rest of the crew in Brazil, and he thinks he's gonna arrest him, and he's like, this is Brazil, and then everybody in the whole area just pulls out their guns and be like, if you try to move this guy or take him, everybody's gonna die tonight. So right? I think it's gonna be the whole thing where he's gonna earn his place with that whole town, and it's gonna be whatever the big bad or the big situation is gonna be. Everybody's just gonna kind of come together, because I guess kind of paying him back for all the good deeds he did for all of them in some kind of way.
Well, that becomes an interesting thing, because like, if you're I don't want to say good, but if you were, as he would say, a respectful mob boss, Like, you don't overly hoard and just threaten people. You don't only take. There has to be a give and a take. You have to protect your own people, right? And so if he does that, he might set up some of that reciprocity turns down the road. Those things are always fun, where it's like, oh, we're just hanging out here in the club. I'm gonna walk in. I'm gonna threaten you at the back table, and it's like, you should look at all the other tables in the bar right now, because the music stopped and everyone has a gun pointed at you.
Right. Yeah.
I will say my other prediction. Again, I think Ninja Tusken is a woman, and I think that's going to be more of a connection with Boba Fett. But that would mean maybe Tusken mask comes off at some point. I don't know.
Have you ever seen what they look like underneath the mask?
No. That's a whole thing. Supposedly there was some comic where, I don't know if it was Dark Horse or Marvel at the time, but I think it was the storyline where a Jedi actually went and joined the Tusken Raiders at some point in the past, and had a kid who was Force sensitive that he trained up as a Jedi, who was half Tusken Raider. And I think they showed their face or not, but that's probably not even canon anymore. So I would honestly be fine if they were just like, yeah, we're not going to show it. Are they a separate species? Are they human? Are they a mix of different species?
Right. Because, like, to be honest, when I saw the movie as a kid, I just assumed that was their face.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you have all the different kind of alien creatures and stuff. So I realize now that it's like a covering to protect them from the sun. But I'm just saying, before, when I saw that, I just took it as that being their faces, just like you had, different characters. So
there was one other line that got dropped, like we got to get permission first to kill them.
Yeah. And
the Tuskens were talking about, their warrior sort of ancestry back to, I'm gonna butcher the line, but back to when there was water in the sea, like the Dune Sea.
Right.
And so it's like, whoa, there was that much water on Tatooine at one point. Like that's
what it sounds like.
That made, my eyebrows go up. So that's an interesting little bit, if that's, accurate, or if that's myth or lore with that culture or tribe. But that'd be interesting things. That's with the other sort of hard science fiction that I read. I'm like, why doesn't someone just go to like some planet nearby that has like an ice ring belt around one of the planets, just scoop that stuff up and just like bring it back to Tatooine and just rain it down in the atmosphere? Like,
same reason why we got homeless people now and people hungry when they throw away food in a trash can. It'd be game over.
Right. And the thing is, the water sellers on Tatooine don't want more water. They don't want free water.
No. They want expensive water that's worth killing over. But they'll so it's something about that rarity and politics and systems that are in place to kind of keep things moving. So sometimes the question is not how to fix something. The question is, why is it not being fixed?
Status quo.
Well, man, it was good catching up with you, talking about episode 2. Once again, I always appreciate your insight and your take. I love the fact that your insight is something else. But like I said, because you're well read with these kind of stories and stuff like that. You're familiar with the lore. You also created scenarios and stuff like this. So it's just so funny because you're thinking, like a showrunner would. So all these different perspectives I like it. Gives me something extra to think about instead of just a straightforward watching of the show. So
all the nerditry pays off. It's odd.
Hey man, it all adds up. So do you have any other words, or you good?
No, I think I'm good. It'd be interesting to see how the other episodes go.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to them though, and that says a lot. All right, so that was Jay and Ryan catching up on the Book of Boba Fett. Until next time, peace.
Catch you later.
Hey, This is Jay, and I hope you're enjoying the conversation so far. I just want to let you know that this conversation is part of a larger conversation that continues on the next episode. Thanks for listening.